Oh, Sharon, what are you getting me into now? Just like Curtis. Hey everyone, welcome back and happy Friday, since today is Friday, October 21st. So if you're new to the channel, we do a lot of barn picking when we can. It's Sharon's hobby. And so this was another one she found. When I say barn picking, I mean that we have to dismantle the barns with my excavator. She gets to keep the wood for free. I knock them down and usually put them in a pile, and that's kind of usually what it is. So she came across another one here in our area in southern Illinois, and she came to the agreement with the lady who owns this particular barn that, hey, if we get to keep the barn wood, we'll go ahead and knock it down. Well, there's more to that story, and that's what today's episode is about. So I wanted to say why we didn't accept our last barn pick or whatever, but we actually got bailed out since she had originally made the promise. But as you'll see, it's just an interesting story on how we assess a barn pick and the follow-through, which in this case, there was a lot of moving parts for the follow-through. So let's get into it. Have a great weekend. So down here, the first thing we have to establish is, A, can I get my excavator and trailer back on these narrow roads? And B, in this case, a dumpster was going to be needed. So the first thing we look at is just the ingress and egress, or the vehicular access to the property.
You can see the road is narrow, but the culvert is big.
We're assessing this road for our possibly our next barn dismantling.
No. It's all dirt. Oh, okay. All right. Where did you say your jump on?
Yeah, when you say a
So like if you piled it, but then came back.
oh, Sharon, what are you getting me into now? Just like Curtis. So I'm definitely not going to lie. That's what I was thinking as we're assessing this thing. It was a little bit more than what I anticipated. And then now we're only going to be able to salvage a handful of boards off of this because a lot of them are rotten. But for these boards, I would have to not only tear it down, but we'd have to find something to do with it because this lady wants this whole yard totally cleaned up. So we talked about several different options. The first one was a burn pile for the scrap, the remains. That was out of the question because the neighbor was their uncle and the property line was like right here next to the barn. So no burn pile. So then we talked about, well, can I just stuff it in a pile somewhere and let it rot? And that wasn't an option either. She did ask about burying it. If you're burying stuff on your own property, it's not quite as huge of a deal, but if you're doing it on someone else's property, I just wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to bury it. So the last option was a dumpster, big 30-yard dumpster like we've used in the past. And you'll see here in just a second the logistics to get a dumpster back there. But not only that, we're not paying for it. That's going to cost you it's going to cost you $700 or $800 for it. But I'll fill it if that's the route you want to go. So we'd have to try and get a 30-yard dumpster back here. We have to come through the lawn. This garden's going to come out. I'll pull all these stakes and make a path for the dumpster to come back here.
When you got those nails or spikes in them.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, the logistics. So as I just mentioned in the last clip, I would have had to yank this whole garden out. I would have had to pull her fence out. Of course, this is in addition to knocking the barn down and that. And then we'd have to back a 30-yard dumpster across her lawn, which her driveway is narrow. So that's what we left her with. Like, hey, if you pay for the dumpster, we'll do this. And the good news is they weren't going to pay for the dumpster. So this is still listed on Marketplace, like $50, come and get barn wood kind of thing. So I was breathing a big sigh of relief that we didn't have to follow through on this for all the reasons just mentioned. So I thought it might be an interesting video on kind of how we assess a barn pick and a barn demolition. So have a wonderful weekend. Don't forget, if you enjoy our content, to hit the like button. We hope to see you on a future video. Thanks a lot.